Getting that black tusk assault team out of there is your main objective.
Gotta see the art. Take out all enemy tanks. I see attack shield. They're going for me. Don't let them pin you down.
Well, agents, I tried everything I could to get a legendary viable melee build, but no matter what we did, even in heroic, I mean, if you're in a group, whatever, we couldn't even, no matter what I tried doing solo, with a group, you can get some other buffs, but I couldn't break 500,000 damage with a melee attack. Now, while I guess it doesn't seem terrible, okay, you hit a dude for 500, I think it was like 423,000, something like that. Well, I do got to make a quick correction that we could almost hit 1 million damage in the right circumstances, but still, even if we're hitting 1 million, you got to see how long it takes to kill dudes. It's still, they need to buff it if they want it to be viable. The problem is, you have to be right up in their face. The melee is so slow, especially if you're using a shield, which is really the only way that you can tank enough to get up in their face and do this. And overall, I was unable to get a build that was fun. And ultimately, that's what I want to do, right? If a build isn't fun, how good is it really? So what I'm going to do today is just basically show you guys the layout and the format I did to try to get this to work. And maybe one of you guys will see something in here that will be the catalyst to put this all together. I tried to do all the purpose-built melee things we could. This is solely focused on melee. I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end after going through the build that we tried to use. Do me a favor, guys. If you enjoy this, you learn something new, smashing that like button would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by the end of this, I will earn your guys' subscription. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share the video. And again, anything that you would do different, anything that you could see that I'm missing, please leave a comment down below. I feel like maybe there's a way we could get this build to work, and hopefully I'm just missing it. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into it. Since we're going full melee, there's really not any specializations that are great for this. I checked out the firewall. Ultimately, I just found that the technician was the best one to go with. First of all, because it's the artificer hive. Since we basically have to use a shield, this helps to keep the shield topped off. It will also be beneficial to a team if you're in the team. You can use the link laser pointer to help pulse targets. That way, if you want to use flatline or perfect flatline talent, the big one, the big two is the artificer hive, and then the fact that your healing kits, your armor kits, will also heal your shield. So in a crunch, if your shield's about to go down for whatever reason, your artificer's not going to be ready in time, you can pop your healing kit to help take care of that. The amp for the +1 skill tier doesn't hurt. That'll bump your artificer hive or whatever skills you're using up that one notch. We should be at armor core 6, so no matter what, your shield should be fully topped off at the max tier of 6. Based on the specialization, since you get EMP with the technician, if you do want to use the sledgehammer perk and take advantage of that, which that damage to armor does actually work for the melee. So you will do more damage to armored targets if you proc sledgehammer. beforehand. You would want to use a concussion grenade, as that will damage all foes, not just robotics. Let's go ahead and talk about the weapons. Since this is a melee build, the first thing we're going to do, what weapons actually address melee? Well, with the Sweet Dreams or the Lullaby, you can instantly kill any non-elite enemy. It does have a short cooldown. In legendary content, most enemies tend to be elites, but this can be a great benefit if you have this as your secondary weapon. Suddenly you get pushed up on by a red or purple bar enemy. You can pop over to the Sweet Dreams, knock them out, swap back to your primary. So the Sweet Dreams is the one truly dedicated melee weapon. The problem is it doesn't actually add any benefits other than just killing a non-elite enemy. So if you're not in that one particular situation, it really gives you no additional benefits. Now, the other types of weapons I might recommend would be the mop. If this is in your hand, when you get a kill, you'll get 10% of your armor back. So melee kills while this weapon's in your hand will proc that armor regen. The other option may be to use the mechanical animal for the future perfect, future perfected, I forget exactly. But the point being that this, as you get kills, will bump up your skill tier. So theoretically, your hive will get more powerful if whatever skill you happen to be using other than the shield should bump up in skill tier. And depending on how you have your build set up, you might hit overcharge. I doubt it. You'll probably just get up to about skill tier 4, maybe 5. And so the other thing that we'd talk about then would be the offhand. And this is where I would either run the card TDI custom, sidearm, maybe I don't know what talent, put whatever talent you want. Sledgehammer. Let's go with this. Everything, I'd go Sledgehammer as the talent. I either go with the card TDI custom for that extra skill tier, or the backup boomstick if I just want to get a nice 1-2 shot kill on an enemy that's up close. If I'm going to go down before I can melee them to death, maybe this will help out. So yeah. So when it comes to gear brand sets, you basically have the option of going high end or trying to use a gear set. If you're going to use a gear set, we tried both Hunter's Fury as well as the Foundry Bulwark. I won't even cover the Hunter's Fury. It really didn't work out anywhere near as well as I hoped it would. And the Foundry Bulwark is just the same as you were going to do a standard Foundry Bulwark build. The only downside is because you'd be using the claws out holster and the exotic gloves, you wouldn't have access to the chest nor the backpack talents that you could get from high-end gear. So the good news is, because you would be using the Foundry Bulwark, of course your healing will be that much more substantial. The problem is you're really not doing anything at that point, and you'd just be better off to run a standard armor build, a standard Foundry Bulwark, with Vanguard, Protector, Galvanized, something like that. Anyway, that's what we're here to talk about. So let's talk about the full high-end named gear build. This is what it's all about. This is how we tried to put it together to maximize our damage. Now, you could have, of course, used the Chill Out Mask if you wanted to, and that would give you the Gila, the plus 5% armor. You could pop in 2 protection from elite mods, maybe, you could do whatever mods, but really, if you want to maximize the damage, you would want to go with the Hollow Man Mask, and this will give you the plus 10% damage to health. Now, why this may not seem like a huge benefit to armor targets, you got to remember any of the Chungas or the dogs, if we're just talking melee damage, obviously that 10% would go a long ways when you're up against a tank and just melee them. If it worked, or you're playing on a super low difficulty, this might be cool. All right, next we'll talk about the backpack. If you wanted to, you could go with something with Galvanized to give you some bonus armor, but an easier way to do it, since we're a melee build, means we're going to be right up in the enemy's faces, to go with the Matador with the perfect adrenaline rush. This will make sure to give us a bunch of that bonus armor. Continuing to have that bonus armor refresh itself will, of course, be a benefit to help keep us alive. And if we decide to go with the chest piece that gives us bonus damage because of bonus armor, that will, of course, work in tandem. So that being said, you could use the chest piece with Intimidate, or you could use the Hunter Killer. This will give you access to the perfect Intimidate, and of course you will do bonus damage while you have bonus armor. Unfortunately, this is only weapon damage. and weapon damage does not add to melee damage. So the Hunter Killer's out. So what we decided to do for our build to make sure we had more sustain, the 0F's Badger Tough with Perfect Unbreakable. This basically gives us a full second life once every 60 seconds, hits all of our armor back. And so for the sake of being able to stay alive long enough to kill some of these enemies, we basically need it. Now that leads us to the exotic purpose-built gloves, the Bloody Knuckles. So you got the Bloody Knuckle gloves, which will give you, upon grenade hit or melee hit, 25% additional weapon damage, which does nothing for the melee build, but does give us a bonus 100% melee damage. This seems to have a fairly long cooldown. However, you guys will note, literally hitting with a second grenade or hitting with a melee will reset the cooldown. So it's basically like it doesn't even have a cooldown, really. The downside to this is that 100% is nothing. I mean, we actually have to proc 100% melee damage. And when we move to the next piece, you'll see why. And what we're looking at is the Wyvernware Claws Out. And this gives us plus 9% pistol damage, which really doesn't matter, but it gives us plus 500% melee damage. How is it we have a named piece on the gloves that just innately gives us plus 500%, but we got to go through all these steps over here, or wherever, over and over to get plus 100%. Now, if they buff that to 500%, awesome. What I think they should do is make that 1,000%, right? Because we might get kicked up to the, if they were to do that, we might hit the 800,000 damage per melee, which may make it semi-viable. Even then, I don't know. But this 100% bonus melee is unacceptable, and these gloves are basically a joke. Even that 25% bonus weapon damage for having to get a melee or grenade kill, if you wanted to use this on an actual DPS character, there's just so many better and easier ways to get that bonus. All right, guys, a quick little edit here that I'm going to throw in, and I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to put it, but I did some more testing after we got the video footage done, and what it turned out is my calculations were incorrect. It seems that the Bloody Knuckle bonus is not added to the melee bonus damage. What I thought the original calculation was we have 100% melee damage innately. Then we add the 500% from the Wyvernware Claws Out, so that would put us at 600% melee damage. Then when we proc the Seeing Red, the over the top from the Bloody Knuckles, what we would end up with right there would be then another 100%. So that would end up being 700%. But it appears that the Bloody Knuckles is its own separate multiplier. So it looks like what we have is 100% melee damage innate plus the 500% from the Claws Out. So we have 600. So we take our 600%, we multiply that times 2 because we have 100%, we double our damage essentially. So instead of being at 700% melee damage, that should effectively put us at about 1,200%. That's why we ended up seeing some numbers that looked a little bit larger, and it's very hard to see these numbers. They pop on and off the screen very quickly on console. The largest number I saw was about 946,000. We did see some numbers that range between 423,000 and a little over 500,000 without Seeing Red. So I imagine that we could probably hit just over 1 million damage right now with the melee. The thing is, other than the numbers that we bring up, the gameplay and everything else in this video still is exactly the same. And later on, when I get to talking about what I think would need to be buffed and how, I still believe that that's still 100% accurate if they wanted to make the melee builds viable. All right, sorry for this. I just had to interject because my testing taught me something that I thought you guys would want to know, and it would not be complete if I didn't put this into the video. All right, let's get back to it. So that being said, the Claws Out are... It's a great... The Claws Out is one of my favorite holsters, as it works great for this melee build. It's fun to put into a normal armor build if you have the spot where you can slot it in. And my favorite is to actually have it on a skill build for the Wyvern, that plus 10% skill damage. And then just in case you get pushed, you actually have a skill build that might actually be able to kind of knock somebody down. So I do like the Claws Out. So lastly, that takes us to our knees. If we want to maximize the damage, of course, we're going to go with the Fox Prayers. This will give us plus 8% damage to targets out of cover. And since when we melee guys, of course, that's going to knock them out of cover. They're generally going to be out of cover as soon as we walk up on them anyway. That means this is a plus 8% multiplicative damage bonus on top of everything else. Unfortunately, the damage that we do from melee is just so low that even this multiplicative damage bonus does not help us that much. But it is the top way to go if you want to maximize your damage. Probably a better way to go would be to use the Murakami Emperor's Guard to get that 1% armor regen. And this will just help you with your survivability. I don't know, that's, which one do you prefer, right? So that would be the actual purpose-built melee build. And if you're going to play in normal, hard, probably even challenging, you could use this and actually probably just plow through everything. Some of the tankier enemies, it'll still take a while to kill. So well, let's move on to the skills. So, of the skills, you could use the Bulwark Shield if you wanted a big burly shield and you were going to use the card TDI Custom as your sidearm. Go around, just smash dudes with that. Your shield will basically last forever. I choose to use the Crusader Shield because I do like to be able to use primary weapons with my shield. This will allow me to use any primary weapon and use the Lullaby or the Sweet Dreams as the secondary. Without putting the shield down, I can swap over, pop a red or purple bar enemy, knock them out. So I prefer the Crusader. Of course, if you want to go with Firewall, you could use the Striker Shield. I think you give up too many benefits that you get from the Technician. But if that's your preferred route, or you maybe don't have your Technician all totally taken care of, but you do have your Firewall proficiency maxed out, maybe go with the Firewall until then. So the last thing we got is, what do you do with that your second skill? And that's really easy. You want some form of healing, either the Artificer, which will heal your shield repetitively, and you can drop it on the ground to help out your team, or you can go with the Fixer Drone that'll follow you around, heal you and your shield. The problem is when you're moving, sometimes you guys may know the Fixer Drone will get stupid and it'll stop healing you while it tries to move itself into a better position instead of just following you and healing you. So that's something to deal with. Another option would be, the Chem Charger Reinforcer, so you could just drop the heal whenever you need it. This will also heal you and your shield. And one other thing that you may want to try would be the possibility of using the Decoy. Maybe if you're in a team, because then you could get enemies. If you're up in a crowd, you could drop it. The guys will aim at them, and then you could try to get behind an enemy or two and start getting your melee action on. So that's really it. I mean, it's a really slow build. The idea is cool. What they would need to do in order to get this viable would be to greatly increase the amount, either the base melee damage. That would probably be the easiest way to do it, right? If they made it so the base melee damage scaled, maybe 500,000, with the standard hit, nothing else attached to it in heroic, maybe 750,000 in legendary, and then all these, get bumped up on top of it. When a lot of these guys will have, 5 million, 6 million health in legendary, if I can do 2-3 million per melee, so it's still going to take 2 melees on them, and I got to be able to sit there and take legendary damage while trying to make that happen. They need to buff that up. The other option would be to buff the Bloody Knuckles, maybe add some other pieces of gear, or maybe just come up with a brand new melee specific gear set. I feel like maybe we're too far into the game for them to come up with another gear set, but they've surprised us. I mean, it wasn't even within the last year. I think we've gotten another couple gear sets and some new pieces. So anything is possible. Do me a favor, guys. If you found this entertaining, learned anything new, a like would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by now I've earned you guys subscriptions. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. And again, if you guys see anything that I missed here, anything you would do differently, or any sort of build ideas you want to see in the future, leave a comment down below. You agents, be as safe as you need to be in this new year, and I will catch you all in the dark zone. Peace out, everybody.